All righty. Welcome. Welcome, everyone, to our Ashe's MLK exhibition titled A Gift of Love, Episode 2. My name is Constance Thompson. I'm a creative producer here at Ashe Cultural Arts Center. I'm just going to give just a few more minutes to allow folks to come into the room. We have some really great artists here, and they have some things to share with you. So I don't want too many people to miss out. So I'm just going to give it 1 or 2 more minutes, if that's okay. All right. Thank y'all. I see you coming in. Welcome. Thank you. All right. We're going to start in just 1 more minute. We're going to give some more folks a chance to come on inside. Thank you. All right. I hope you are all enjoying your Saturday afternoon. It is a beautiful day outside. Got some vitamin D, ate some good food, moved and stretched your bodies from the work week. Some of us are still working, so continue to stretch, continue to breathe, and be present with yourself. All right. Okay. I think we're good to start. Okay, again, my name is Constance Sadie Thompson. I'm a creative producer here at Ashe Cultural Arts Center. And I first and foremost just want to acknowledge the land on which we stand. It's known by many names, but Bombancha is the original name. I want to acknowledge all of the inhabitants from past to present and who continue to take up space, whose voices have tried to be silent, whose lives and legacy has tried to be wiped out. I want to just give a moment to honor them, and then to be mindful that in every space that we move in, those indigenous to the land should always be present and centered in the conversation in any and every capacity. I give thanks for our ancestors, those who paved the way for us to do the great inspiring things that we do with our lives, the stories that we share with others, the things that we push against and lean into. I thank you. And I thank you. Most people say God, Mother, Father, Buddha, Creator, Spirit, One. I welcome all of that into the space today. All right. So Ashe Cultural Arts Center's primary mission is to use art and culture to develop human, community, and economic development. And I'm so thrilled to have Miss Sheleen Jones, who is the president of the New Orleans chapter of the National Conference of Artists, here with us today. So I'm going to come and bring her up. Hello, Miss Sheleen.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you. This is our second episode. For those, we had an opening. We had a first episode. This is our second episode. And then I was going to leave this to the end, but I might as well just share it now for those who might drop off. We are going to do a closing reception for this exhibition that is located in the Ashe Powerhouse. All right. It's going to be on April 1st, and we're going to have more details. So stay tuned. All right. Well, welcome, Ms. Sheleen. Please share with the folks out on Facebook and in YouTube land who you are, just a little bit of who you are, and what is the National Conference of Artists and all that good stuff.
Hello there. Thank you, Constance. Thank you very much. It's always wonderful to see you and hear you speak with such wonderful energy that you bring to everybody. And I hope that we continue this throughout this program. My name is Sheleen Jones, and I am a visual artist and an instructor, a teacher now at Xavier University. And I've been there about 3 years, but I'm also a graduate from Xavier University. I've created a few sculptures around the city, and I am also a part of this exhibition of Adache, and this exhibition is called A Gift of Love. The title, The Gift of Love, is from the sermons and preachings of Dr. Martin Luther King. So we decided to use this book to inspire artists to select work or to create work by that name that holds up to that name. In that book, it has at least 20 different sermons inside of it. So there are lots of titles that which you can pick to work with your that works with your artwork, and that's what we ask artists to do. And so we're going to be introducing a lot of different types of artists who work in different fields in different ways, but who are always working. We would like to thank everybody for joining us for our second virtual exhibition here at second virtual exhibition. We would like to bring a special thanks to the New Orleans chapters, members who are displaying their artwork, to Ashe Community Arts Center, who was always great supporting in great support of the National Conference of Artists, and also the patrons and sponsors, which there are many who will always reaching out and making sure that they recognize the contributions that we are trying to make toward the inspiring artists to be what they are. The National Conference of Artists, we are on our 25th anniversary this year nationally, and the organization itself was created to give an opportunity there was a need to display African American artists, and we took that and that opportunity was taken up 25 years ago and has been going strong and we are located in different states. This is the New Orleans chapter that we are showing today. And we're displaying the artwork to represent the New Orleans chapter artists this year. Normally we represent many different chapters, many different states, but this year we're just focusing on the people here for our 25th anniversary. So would you like for me to go on and
all right. Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Sheleen, for sharing that. And I know we have some guests, so would you like to introduce and welcome our guests?
Yes, we have 5 artists that we're going to talk to or talk about today. One of which will not be able to join us, but we would love to let you see his work. His work will also be on display on April 1st. So you're welcome to join us on that day to see all of these works. But his name is Dwight Harris. And Dwight Harris is a New Orleans artist, and this is one of his wonderful pieces. Big Chief David, Montana, and Queen Asetawa. And she is, and this is one of his beautiful pieces. It's a photograph that you can see. He is born in New Orleans. He's a New Orleans, he is self-described as a New Orleans-based photographer. He is known for documenting Mardi Gras Indian culture in New Orleans. He became interested in photography as a child and has always been known for keeping a camera with him. He acknowledged Norman Bertrand as his mentor and has helped him to gain appreciation for focusing with the camera on the urban streets. He has exhibited in many galleries around the city of New Orleans and also museums such as this gallery, such as Stella Jones Gallery, as well as Louisiana State Museum, New Orleans Museum of Arts, and various museums. All this information also can be found inside of a book that we also offer that talks about his work. This is another one of his artworks, and this is one is called Kerman's Love. It's another one of his photographs. Again, I say that he is not able to be with us today, so I wanted to just give a little bit of information about him. He's a Mardi Gras. Let me see. He received the Mardi Gras Indian Hall of Fame Photographers Award. He is a retired social worker, an advocate for the elderly, individuals suffering from mental illness, and wrongly incarcerated individuals. He currently serves as a Kenner River Town Arts Council, serves on the Kenner Arts Council and Rivertown Mainstream Board. He is also a member of the National Conference of Artists. Yes. And that is Dwight Harris. Hello there. This is one of our artists as well. These are other artists who are participating in this exhibition. Pat Jolly, Theresa Crushshon, Cecelia Pedescleaux, and Damian Roberts. All right, Pat. Okay, Pat Jolly is also a photographer, and she's going to give you more information about herself. I'm just going to touch on a few things that are written about Miss Pat Jolly. Pat Jolly has curated dozens of exhibitions and has herself been in at least 70 or more exhibitions, a part of CDs, websites, and books, press packages. She is very well known in the New Orleans circuit as a photographer and documenter of New Orleans culture. Pat Jolly, would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself and your artwork? You're on mute.
All right, now I'm not muted.
Hi. Hi.
Well, I'll start off and say that I'm a fifth generation New Orleanian, and so my grandmother took me constantly to teach me history of the city and the culture, and I'm blessed without having to go to any efforts. I hear about, people that come here and they have to learn so much about the community, but I was actually able to experience a community from being a child. So I have a special gift from God I've prayed many times and thanked him for letting me be born here. Let me just say that's really important for me. And I'm very grateful for that, because there's this famous photographer in New York a long time ago named Ouija. And they would make jokes and say that Ouija could hold up his camera and things would happen before it. And I just feel like New Orleans gives that gift too. You can stand on, random street corners and have your camera with you, and something that exemplifies the culture can happen right before you. So it's an easy thing to say that we have something here that other people, other places just don't have. And a lot of times until you move away, you take it for granted and you don't really appreciate it. And unfortunately, my parents moved away when I was in high school. So believe me, I was really glad to come back home. And I don't even know what more I want to say about photography, because it gives you a vision of seeing that maybe you don't have. I think that's one of the assets that maybe painters don't have, because they have to rely on their imagination. Of course, they're inspired by our culture, but it's something that I am very grateful for and love. I couldn't live anywhere else in New Orleans. I just feel like we are supportive of each other. I've lived in Chicago. I've lived in New York. I've lived in Mexico City briefly. we don't really glorify God enough for what we're able to experience on a daily basis here. And that's what I think is the most important thing for my life. As for talking about photography, I just want to say that the other artists and the painters and the people who manufacture their thoughts and their images, they have a different gift. We all, every one of us has gifts, and we can't take them for granted. But the world of creativity is opening the portal of imagination, and that's the same for all of us. And I taught art to more than 5,000 kids, and that was my main job, was to open the portals of imagination for children that haven't yet been able to understand how to create that. And my photos, of course, are reflective of the culture. I'm just able to be there to present, to click it so that I can present it to you. All right, the photo that's up right now is called Proud Papa. And that's intense because that, I want to interject something really quickly, is that we were all asked to find a quote from Martin Luther King that best exemplified our photo. But of course, with love being the subject, it's very easy to find these quotes. And it was like one of the greatest joys of my life was to go read again so many of these quotes that he said, and many of them were all about love. And in this particular one, I chose one that says, "Love is the greatest force in the universe." And I called it Proud Papa because this is Carrie Brown, who's a drummer, a producer of all kinds of things, and that's his son Jazz that he's given that look of love to. So it was easy to pick that photo. Sometimes it's hard to select photos that go with themes because you've got so many of them. But the quote also, after saying it's the greatest force in the universe, says it is the heartbeat of the moral compass. He who loves is a participant in the being of God. And I was really gifted by God to find this quote because it's a handwritten note that Dr. King wrote in response to a woman who asked him what was his definition of love. The photo was taken at Tuba Fat's funeral. That's in front of Preservation Hall. And not many funerals are actually allowed to go into the French Quarter. But of course, Tuba Fat was the quintessential entertainer in Jackson Square.
Wow.
So that was just one of the stops in the funeral. All right, this is the easiest person for me to choose a photo from because I've never known anyone to exemplify love more than Leah Chase. She was called the Queen of Creole Cuisine, and she surely was. She's the most important woman that ever lived in my lifetime to me because of her dedication to leading a Christian life. She was actually born on the Epiphany, so she kind of came to it naturally. And the quote that I chose for her is, "Love is the most durable power in the world. This creative force is so beautifully exemplified in the life of our Christ in our quest for peace." And Leah was there 24/7 practically. You couldn't find her not in the kitchen almost. And on Sundays, she was cooking huge vats of food to send to churches. And, she supported everybody in every way that she could. And she especially supported the African American artists. She has the greatest collection of art of that genre in the city. And I love her. And miss her.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. You went deep into the pictures. I must say your images are beautiful and crisp. And I'm sure that's a part of your skill, because photography can go in all different directions, but yours seem to be very straightforward, and they're very beautiful. And
I actually love blurry pictures too.
Well, I guess those answered the question that it needed to answer at the time. You know, like most art, if it's going to be abstract, it's fun. Abstract for a reason. Same as for clarity, for a reason.
Yes.
So thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you. We would also like to display the work of Theresa Crushshon. Theresa Crushshon is a New Orleanian who loves New Orleans just like the rest of us, but she really puts her efforts behind education. She has great dreams for what she's going to do with education, and she also, as you can see behind her, she works with she dresses for Mardi Gras, and she dresses with Fayaya. And she's going to tell us a little bit about both of those and what she wants to bring to the community and to New Orleans and for everyone to see. Hi, Theresa. You're on mute.
Hi there, Sheleen. It's an honor to be here with so many distinguished artists, including yourself. When you were introducing yourself, you were so humble. I'm like, oh, okay. I gotta follow that path. But Shelene's like, yeah, I have sculptures around the city. Well, we have sculptures in major places that some people only dream about, and her pieces are fantastic. If you haven't seen the Tule, Montana sculpture in Congo Square, I certainly encourage you to go out there on a Sunday and check out the drumming circle and walk through Louis Armstrong Park, and you will see Shelene's work. But I guess since I'm on the topic of the Indians, I will talk about that. We just we were able this year to participate in Carnival because they opened up the city during the pandemic, and the crowds were very small. It was very heartbreaking as we were making our ceremonial walk through the historic neighborhood, starting off in the Treme. It was an honor to be able to walk with Big Chief Victor Harris, with Fayaya. I learned a lot from the Big Chiefs about art, art sculpture. The sculptures that they create are wearable art, similar to what Nick Cave does. But Nick Cave is on a different level, and his work is certainly inspired by the Black masking Indians. So my hats go off to those men who are so dedicated to going against the mediated identities that have stereotyped them for many, many moons. They come from so many walks of life. So it's an honor to be able to learn from them and to be able to help elevate our culture. I wanted to say that the piece that I have in the show is called Afrotopia, and it's a photo collage. I took images, some snapshots as I was working on a documentary on percussionist and stilt walker, Zohar Israel. He's another New Orleans legend here in our community. He has like 5 generations of stilt walkers here. He often travels to Africa and studies percussions with master artists. So it's a joy to be able to work with people on this level. But I have great appreciation and respect for him in his art form. Just being able to go and create a documentary on the drum circle, but take it back historically, what was taking place in Congo Square when the Africans were able to conjugate on Sundays. And I've been interviewing so many different people, and they're giving me some great historical content that you cannot find in textbooks. So not only am I documenting Zohar's story, but I'm creating curriculum on Africans and African Americans in their art, history, and culture that can be used in classrooms throughout the United States. So that's what that piece is about. I have a Luther Gray in a photograph. The picture is so small, I'm not even going to lie. I have my glasses on, I can't see it, but it's just some fabulous people that come out there, and they're in the spirit. You have to realize in the communities, there was a point when African Americans were not allowed to participate in mainstream society because of racism. So as we think about that, and Pat mentioned the name Leah Chase, it is because of Miss Chase that I'm able to have a job as an art teacher. People don't realize the value of some of the elders in our community, those who have passed on, those who are still here, like Jerome Smith, whose image is now on a bus. His picture, they were out there, him and Miss Chase and so many others in New Orleans were out there leading the picket lines to desegregate hotels, restaurants, theaters, the whole shebang bang. So I'm so grateful, when I'm in the presence of these people for their knowledge, but also for the opportunities that they have provided for me and members of my family and respected artists that I work with. Their legacies will always be remembered and cherished. And so when you look at some of the photographs of people dancing, you have to remember these were some of the first folks in clubs. These were some of the first people that helped desegregate hotels because the musicians were out there performing. So not only are we celebrating their rich talent, their rich God-given talent, but we're also celebrating what they have done historically to build bridges, to open communities, and tell people you are welcome to come into our community, even though there was a time and there still is a presence of hatred, to view our art. When you look at the Black masking Indians, and you have to ask yourself, why was that history created? Okay, it's not just people out there dancing in the streets. It's a deeper, richer history. And some people are like just looking at the pictures like, what are they doing? Okay, so it's a spiritual, it's a tribute to those who have lost their lives in the transatlantic slave trade, as those who were on these plantations and said, I don't want my bodies to be used as a tool for free labor to make you rich. So today we're still out here making these statements and using our arts to do that. My quote from King is, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. So my art, I use that not only as a way to entertain, but to educate.
Thank you, Theresa. Thank you, Theresa. Theresa, you also have some, well, we'll talk more about your other, your ventures once we have everybody else introduce themselves. So, but that was wonderful. And thank you for the clearing up to us the different images and what they represent as a whole, because they hold together strongly. Thank you. Hello there.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Oh, I feel so proud. It's so special to be with so many great people today. I recognized all of their works love them all, and just think everybody's just has put their heart out into this show, into their work. I'm a fiber artist and quilter, mainly a quilter. The I like to use uh, different fabric. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say who I am. I'm Cecelia. I'm Cecelia Tapplett, Pedescleaux. Everybody just call me Miss Cely. And I got that name in high school when I graduated in 62. Well, anyway, and I'm a quilter and fiber artist. And the piece I did for the Martin Luther King Jr. show was really inspired to me by Cherise Harrison Nelson. Cherise asked me to do a quilted piece for her, and she came with, and she had some beads. And I started instead of just doing a regular quilt with pieces of material that I was going to try and do something with beadwork. I've done some beadwork before, but I am on no level as the Mardi Gras Indians, or should I say, I call them Native American Black Indians. Nowhere near that. But this piece is called the Gift of Love. There's a person in center, and all of the images on there represent love. The top, if you stand in the top left-hand corner, is the symbol that represents that it's only God. There's only the grace of God. If it wasn't for the grace of God, none of us would be where we are, regardless who your God is. There is a higher person who takes care of us. And the second piece on the right is the trying to see my own self. Is the alligator, and the alligator is a Digger symbol that they both share the same stomach but still fight for food. It's a symbol of it's a symbol of tell me what it is. I'll try. My brain days, you all. Cooperation and unity. Had to think about that for a second. And the heart naturally represents our love for each other, and that's a person in the center. Now, on the right, again, is the symbol representing only God, and on the left is one that I put together two forms. One is the Sankofa bird, which means to go back and get it, don't forget where you came from, and the heart of love. And I couldn't quite think of a special quote I wanted from Dr. Martin Luther King. But as we're talking, as a quilter, as a person, as an artist in New Orleans, all of our styles of art and love all kind of melt together. We all seem to come from the same space in our hearts and in our collective memories of being able to be ourselves, be what we are, to signify our presence in this land, in this world, in this universe. So and I was hoping to kind of bring out that kind of love for the universe and for each other and for what we think is special to us in this quilt. And that's why this time I tried to use beadwork. I always call myself a underground bead worker because I don't do the fantastic beadwork. I watched Daryl Montana work. I've watched other people do their work, and it is something that I strive to, but I'm a quilter by heart. So I'm able to use other forms without being criticized, belittled, or say this doesn't go in the quilt world. We're able to do that. Now, let me tell you, there's something very special about this show. I have been in this show for maybe 20 some years. And I don't know if I realize, but what this show brings out in us, the presence of Dr. King and what he stood for. And every year, the the products or the artwork that comes out is always so thoughtful, so mind blowing, and just really spectacular. So I enjoy being in the show every year and to be associated with the people in the artists in this area because everybody has so much to give, and I've learned so much from everyone else. But I think that's all I can really say without getting worthy and just kind of sentimental about this show. This is a very special show.
Thank you.
This is a very special group. I have, if I'm, I hope that every year I'm accepted this group because it's become a mainstay in my life to be ready for the show and to try to produce something special and different. This has always been a very special, and NCA itself, let me tell you something about NCA. NCA will recognize all artists, regardless of what your status in the art world is. They have been comforting, they will bring together people, they will do everything and that's one thing I love about the National Conference of Artists, especially our New Orleans chapter.
Thank you, Miss Cely. Thank you, Miss Cely. Okay. We have another artist, and his name is Damian Roberts, but he seems to be having trouble connecting back on with us. But I would like to talk about his piece and who he is. He's a new artist with us, and this is his first year. He's had an exhibit. We've been in 2 exhibits since he's been there, and one was sort of a pop-up exhibition. And this is his work. His name is Damian Roberts, and he chose this piece. He calls it A Father's Love. It's a huge piece, and it's him and his son. And just the title itself tells you how it fits into Dr. Martin Luther King's dream. But also he has a symbol of Black Lives Matter at the bottom. Well, not a symbol, but the letters for Black Lives Matter. And for him, this is real important. He wanted to express these things he was talking about earlier. These are really important times for him as a young Black man, trying to raise a young Black man with some true values. And he himself is a person with true values. He works hard. He loves his family. He tries to give them as much of himself as he can, and support them. And you see it every day in the type of works that he produced. He is a graphic designing. He's a self-trained digital artist. So he is someone that we would like to highlight right here. His name is Damian Robinson. He is a resident of New Orleans, a lifetime resident of New Orleans. He's self-taught in digital art. He graduated from Sarah T. Reed High School, which is, like a lot of schools, no longer there. It may come back, but right now it's no longer there. It's in New Orleans East. Let me see what else he said about himself. He used to be a rapper. Debo Too Creative is his title. And if you go on his link, you will be able to find his information about himself, about lots of his images that he's now been creating. He is really trying to make a living as a independent artist. And, it's how he's realizing how difficult it can be, but he is never discouraged to the point that he puts down his pen, because as you can see, he has so much to offer the community with his skill level. And you'll be able to see more when you check out his Instagram page. Let's see, he recently exhibited with us at a pop-up exhibition, Juneteenth exhibition that was hosted by the community bookstore. And so he was able to bring, I think, a few of his pieces of art work there to display, to represent the same Black Lives Matter empowerment. He is also now a part of this exhibition, which is a wonderful thing that, like Cely was talking about, that we have the opportunity to display artists who may or may not get an opportunity to be displayed elsewhere, or at least start to get them seen in a way. And like Ashe right now is opening up the doors for him and for me and for each one of us as artists to be able to be seen worldwide. Virtual, although this whole virtual thing has happened as a result of this pandemic, I think we've all have learned how to make it our own and start to really utilize tools that we would not have used before because we were in our regular routine. So that has given us some time to back up, look at the technology that is here, and to and use it to our benefit. And so I'm glad that Debo or Damian Robinson has decided to participate and be with us for this exhibition. I wish he could have been here to talk a little bit more about his work. Maybe he'll be able to connect back with us and just tell us a little bit about his work. So, but in the meantime, we'll get back to you, wonderful artist. Hey, Debo. Hey, Mr. Damian Robinson.
How you doing? Like, is it too loud?
No, you're fine.
Yeah, it was kind of loud the other day. I mean, earlier it was too loud.
That's okay. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Damien.
I am Damian Roberts, and I do digital artwork. And I've been doing it for like probably like 3 years now, 4 years digital artwork. But I've been drawing since I was like probably like 7 or 6. I've been drawing.
Oh, since you were a child, very young child.
Yeah, I've been drawing since I was like 7 or 6. I remember when I used to like how I started drawing. I used to lie to my grandma because like I really couldn't draw. I used to trace everything, and I used to lie to her and tell her that I drew it. But like I'm like one day she gonna find out I'm lying. I really gotta learn how to draw. So I really sat down to sit and take the time out to really learn how to draw. Like, so that's really how I got good at drawing, dude. But I've been like ever since I seen like other people drawing and stuff. Like I was always like amazed by it. So that's what really made me want to learn how to draw.
Oh. So this is your son on your picture. What's his name?
Well, his name is Damien also.
Is he showing any potential
to do art?
Yes.
I think he'll be an artist one day. Yeah. I think he'll be a nice artist one day because like a lot of people is like amazed by art, but some people just don't take the time out to do it. But some people really want to do it, and like I believe he'll be amazed by the art though. But I do think one day he might want to learn how to draw.
That's good. How do you think your piece fit in with the exhibition? It's called A Gift of Love.
A Gift of Love. I think it fit in very well because like I feel like my son is a gift of love. Gift to me. And I love him very much.
That's nice. That's nice. I like that answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Make sure you give us your information so we can see the rest of your artwork. We love our opportunity to see that. The rest of your digital artwork. As a rapper, I understand you used to do rap.
Yes, I used to. Yeah. No, sorry.
All right.
Yeah, I used to do it.
What I heard about is a positive rap. Do you consider yourself your rap to be positive work?
Sometimes it just depends.
Okay.
I mean, it's all positive, like.
All right. Good. All right then. All right. So we're gonna pop off and talk to everybody else so you can continue listening and stay on. Don't leave. And we're gonna continue talking to all the other artists and have a conversation with them as well.
Okay.
All right.
I'd like to say Could I speak first? I'd like to thank Theresa for mentioning Jerome Smith because I think he is the original educator of the culture by creating the tambourine and fan for those children, and he did that for decades. And I have a photo on my phone. I'm going to see if it'll show up if I do this.
Lahaya. Oh, there it is.
All right.
All right.
Right.
keep going
So
up there.
this is part of a painting that's on the Treme Cultural Center because that's where, he's most noted. And then,
Yes.
let's see here. Oh, it's making a glare. So I don't know if you can
It's
see
good.
it.
We're from, yes, I did. I did see that. There it is. Beautiful.
Yeah, but I want the people that are watching to know who he is
Okay.
because he's one of my heroes in life. Thank you.
Thank you. I first met Jerome Smith when I think I was in college. And it was a summer program. And that's when I first time had an opportunity to meet Mrs. Jerome Smith. And they called him Big Duck. And I didn't understand what the Big Duck was about until I got to know who the man is. And then somebody explained to me, Big Duck, because he really loves working with children. And he loves making sure they know that they are the future and they can impact what happens tomorrow. And with that, he teaches them, he trains them how to understand and be disciplined. He tries to keep that going with them. And when he walks, lots of time the kids are following behind him. So he's like a big duck and little ducks are following behind him. And I thought that was absolutely beautiful. And then to be able to see him demonstrate that. And I actually stood on a picket line with him. We were picketing outside of a courthouse. Wow. I was like, okay, that was my first picket line. And he was able to bring that to us. So thank you for bringing that back up, Jerome Smith. Educators, I find that some of you are educators. And Theresa, I know that Theresa has moved to, has traveled to Alaska to teach, which I thought was totally inspiring to be able to go out there and and tell us a little bit about that experience shortly, a brief statement.
All right. Well, last year I ventured out because my friends were like, go, T, because if you don't like it, you can always come back home. The problem is, as somebody mentioned before, New Orleans is a place that you love. So while I was out there, I'm like, I'm not going home for no reason at all. I'm not going home. I'm not going to step foot in the Big Easy. So while I was there, I took on the role as, what was it called? Education specialist. I forget the integrated art specialist. And what I was doing, I worked in the big city, which was like a little bitty small town, 2 grocery stores, a restaurant that we had the only bar because it was kind of like a dry city. They don't want the locals to drink because for some reason the alcohol does not work well with their body, and they respond differently than us. So it had dirt roads. When I came in, they were putting one concrete road in, and when I was leaving out, they just started paving the other one. So I was like a African American woman in a key position, which was very interesting. I gotta tell you, because some people were coming with drama, and I'm like, nah, ain't gonna work. So my goal, my main goal was to train some of the educators that were working in villages in the same area, how to bring culture and curriculum into the classroom. So I was bringing artists. I wanted to make it more interesting. I didn't want them just to listen to my voice. So I had them at the Charles Schultz Museum. We brought in a lady to train how to draw cartoons. Sheleen.
So how do you think that, what is your experience as being in Alaska? How did it affect your work? Or has it been?
Why? you got to call the kettle black when it's black. And my family has always told me this. Education in the South isn't up to standards. Alaska has a lot of money. We had resources, like tons of resources to work with. During the pandemic, I was working at home a lot. Internet out there was very expensive. I can't understand why. As a U.S. citizen, we are paying for this technology. I honestly believe the government should give internet to everybody, especially when you have children in an education system. All homes should be wired up, and parents should not have to assume that responsibility.
Just tell me about the influence. How did they influence your work?
Being out there, I saw how everything was so much more expensive, like 4 times as much. But the people that were working with the Lower Kuskokwim School District were very passionate and dedicated to education. Here in Louisiana, I don't see that level of passion in the K through 12 program. That's my experience.
Okay. So we can
resources to work with. They have more tutors. They have more entertaining content to help them learn. They bring in so many people to help make the community a better place. So they pay you well. They pay you well. I might be going back now.
So
somebody said cha-chang, and I said, what did you say? They're like, yeah, you heard that number. I said, wait a minute. So I told my friends, I'm like, oh, T, they were like, T, you going back out there? You just got home. And I'm like, well, you know how I am. I always move. I go where there's an opportunity because I love New Orleans so much. This will always be my home. And people, as artists, we need to venture out and see what else is going on in the museums. We need to look at other artwork. We need to network with other people who are doing different styles and using different materials. You know, we need to up our game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Theresa, I've noticed, I've been in Alaska and had some conversation with the Tiglet Indians, and I kind of noticed in your work some of that along with the New Orleans Indians culture. I kind of noticed some of that in your work.
Oh, you noticed some of that? Oh, well, I think that I'm just, because I noticed, like, I like what they were doing with the drumming and the dancing and the chanting out there with the natives. But I personally find the Black Masking Indians unmatched because of the brilliance, the layers that go into it. And don't get me wrong now, they have been, the indigenous people in Alaska have been exploited to a high end. They still hunt, they still fish. My students, I was told, your kids may not be in class for a week. No, they're not going to be in class for maybe 6 weeks because they have to eat. They hunt off, they live off the land. And you have to respect that. That's their culture. You know, they don't have Walmart. There's no Costco. There may not be a way to get a shipment into them within like a 3-week period. So it gets deep. You know, I would ask my students about ice fishing. They go out ice fishing in the negative 20-degree weather. And I would ask them, and they were just tickled pink. I'm like, so tell me, how many fish did you catch? I don't know, maybe 30 and 40. Well, what did you put on that hook to catch those fish? So I was just like really interesting for these little children to tell me their stories. Because I'm like, what are you doing this weekend? We're going boating. You know, they would get on their fishing boat, or they would have a boat, and the parents would take them out. And I was like, make sure you get some pictures, make a video. And I use that in the classroom. I'm like, can't nobody tell your story better than you. I mean, who was it? PBS went out there and they created Dora the Explorer. That's like a very Eurocentric story narrative on what is taking place out there. And it's kind of watered down. a lot of them are offended, but they allowed it to happen. You know, you can't. They got what? Marvel. They're coming here to New Orleans. They're creating a voodoo character. I'm like, Lord have mercy. What is next? What is next? But
so Miss Cely, what is next on your agenda with your artwork?
Well, I just finished teaching a class of 8th graders for 4 weeks at a middle school in Baton Rouge, and we talked about quilting during slavery times, and they actually finished the quilt. And Wednesday coming, their work is going to be shown at Southern University's museum. So I've been working on that. I've been working on. I'm also on a show right now in South Carolina. It's called Guru and Cotton, and I'm trying to get my website, and I'm trying to get my work catalog. I have over 300 quilts, and most of them are behind each one of my quilts are stories. So we're trying to get that catalog. My daughter is killing me with that, but because I don't like to sit down and do the documentation. And I don't know if you can see. Can you?
I can't see it.
You can't see. Oh, I can't see it. I have my glasses on.
The name of the show is Griots of Cotton's Indigo in Clay, and it's in South Carolina.
Did you all hear that? Okay. So that's what I'm doing. Plus, I have a quilt group. We meet every third Saturday. We haven't been meeting late because of the COVID situation.
Gotcha.
And every year we do a show at the church, and everybody puts their work in. We're not doing a show to have prizes. We're doing the show so that everyone can show their work. Okay, so we I don't care if you've only been there 1 week. We only have a small piece that's going into the show. We're trying to keep the culture going, and it's at Beecher Memorial United Church of Christ down in the 7th Ward, 1914 North Nero, right down the street from Jones School. If anybody remembers Jones School, and so I'm still very into my quilt group. I love my people. Now, the reason I say people because we're a few guys that come every now and then, and it's like any other quilting bee. We quilt and we talk and we talk and we eat and we talk and then we quilt.
That's good. That's good. Is that your piece behind you?
Yeah, that's a piece of mine behind.
It's not behind you. It's
no, it's not behind me. Well, if I move,
it's a digital background of her quilt.
It's a digital background of my quilt, and it's called. If you want to see something, you have to open your eyes. It's the African story about how the owl got his eyes, and that material is really Aborigine, and the rest of. Wait,
can you see the full quote?
Yes, it's beautiful. I love it. I love the story that goes with it.
Right, and I have in the inside of the eye is a city with people.
Oh,
inside of the eye.
Oh. Mm-hmm. It's an Egyptian eye. I see the squirrels on it.
Right, and I've been to Australia and I've fallen in love with the Aborigine type of artwork, and when I found that piece. That just cemented the whole quilt.
It's gorgeous. Thank you, Miss Jolly. I see that you've been doing photography since the 70s. What inspires you now? What is the difference in all this time?
Well, actually, I bought my first camera because I knew someone that owned a camera store. Because I would take my first child every month to a studio to have his photo taken. And then I thought, I just need to be taking them myself. So I bought a camera there, and they gave us a 3-day free workshop. And he said, you have to use black and white film. And I said, I don't want to take, look at me. I wear colors all the time. I don't want to take black and white.
I love
Why do
black
I
and
have to do that? And he said, because black and white stimulates intellectual response and color stimulates emotional response. And when you look at color, you might have pleasure in the image, but in black and white, you can actually see what you need to do in lines and shapes. So that was a really good thing for me because I really didn't want to do it. So I really just wanted to document my family. I was pregnant with another child then, so that's what I decided. But
What about today? What inspires you about photographs that are different from back then?
the culture, but also I'm a documentary photographer and I have a lot of friends that are artists. And so I want to be able to give them pictures of them with their creations to sort of place it in time. And I also, I know so many people that I want to give them a really lovely, beautiful picture of them. I know a lot of photographers like to take people when they're eating food or from the side or whatever. I don't want to do that. I want to glorify them because God gave me this gift to do so. But the culture is exciting. It's not just inspiration. It's more than that. It's just like it's part of my participation in life. I want to say that Theresa invited me to do a Zoom class in Alaska with the Inuit Indians. So that was pretty exciting too.
Theresa invited me also to participate in a virtual art talk, just like this. Speak with kids, and she was trying to bring in a lot of cross influences,
right?
And that was really nice. If she would have stayed there another year, I'm sure she would have pulled in a lot more of us. It was wonderful to see the images out of
when we were setting up to make sure that all the visuals were working and the sound, I was telling a story about my being dyslexic, and Constance said she wanted me to talk about this in this talk because when I was little, it was sufferable. The kids make fun of you. It's not easy to be slow. And but it taught me a lesson when I was little because I found that they didn't care if I made mistakes. They never made fun of me because everybody makes mistakes, but they only made fun of me when I was slow. So it kind of gave me this understanding of rhythm. And of course, being from New Orleans, we all innately have an understanding of rhythm. So it helped me overcome myself. And as an adult, I think I pray and thank God for the fact that I have been dyslexic because it gives me something that I feel is an edge over people that aren't, because people our normal vision is linear. We go from left to right, left to right, left to right. But when you're dyslexic, you're actually starting at the opposite polar side of it. And it also has like this huge gift in that you, by not being linear, what you have is a holistic vision. And so I can see behind, I'm paying attention to things that are in the photo that maybe linear people don't even notice. So I see the background, and it lets me, move my position, or if ability to move the subject or whatever it is, to include something that makes it a better photograph. So I think it's a huge.
Well, I tell you, when it comes to dyslexia, my son has a characteristic of dyslexia, because dyslexia is like a big word, and there are a bunch of tentacles that go with it. So it's not the same for everybody. So in that, I learned, I did some reading, and my favorite book on dyslexia was called The Gift of Dyslexia. And
it's a gift.
They talked about that they're capable of seeing things from perspective, which is why oftentimes like a B becomes a B and a D is flipped. It's because they're able to see things from perspectives that other people can't see it from. So it was the gift of dyslexia. And when I used that term with one of my students, the gift of dyslexia, and I explained it to him, he actually, his level of self-confidence shot up so high. And he became an outstanding student because you've only told that dyslexia is a problem, an issue. It's really just an issue for somebody else. For you, it's something to figure out how to make it work for yourself.
Well, it makes you think also about yourself and your reactions with people, which you normally don't think of when you're a child unless you have a guidance of a role model that teaches you that, that shows, that opens that portal for you. And it was a huge gift for me also because I've taught more than 5,000 inner city kids, and it helped me be able to teach in a slower and a more intenting explanation for showing things, because I have to be shown things. I can't understand directions. I can't read them. I have to have somebody show me, and I have to use the thing is using two senses. And so it was like, I think it made me such a better teacher, and to give people an awareness of their gifts. I also was an ESL teacher for a couple of years. And so what I noticed for them is that each person has a gift that others don't have. One can read, others can't. One can understand easily. Others can speak rapidly, but yet somebody that can read can't. And they have a habit of saying, I'm sorry, my English is not so good. And I kept saying, this is your gift. This is what your talent lies, and so all these things are, and when you're a teacher anyway, your job is about the future. Your job is not about now. You're preparing them for the future. And one of the things we have to do is to deal with their self-esteem, as that's the most important thing, like you just talked about. Make me remember that. Thank you, Sheleen.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Let's see. What else I want to ask you all? The upcoming project. Hi, Miss Constance.
Hey, I just wanted to, I think we had some folks who were interested in knowing when Miss Cecelia, when the quilters group is happening. So I wanted to pop back on so you could be able to share it with folks.
Right. If you can, I think we put it on, but my email is CQ, like in quilts, IS@bellsouth.net. And anyone interested, please get in touch with me. At that email address, and I'll let you know where we'll be meeting soon. Put you on our email list, because we are supporting another friend in a community gathering at on Franklin Avenue, and I forgot. But anyway, forgot the street. But it's another community activity, and it's not a marketplace. It's just a community activity where they'll have some of the tramps, and they have some of the baby dolls, and they'll have other people showing different types of things in our culture. So if you get in touch with me at CQIS@bellsouth.net, I'll send you the link to that, and I'll also send you information about the quilt group. The quilt group is open to anyone, any age, especially, I think the youngest we may have worked with maybe been 6 years old. And I'm not gonna even tell you the oldest, okay? But and we do have gentlemen join. Boys seem to love to really do to work with needle and thread, really. So it doesn't matter who you are, where you are. You're welcome to contact me so I can give you the information, because we will be back meeting again soon. And Facebook. Oh, and Facebook. You can find me at Cely's Quilts on Facebook.
Cely, I don't know if you mentioned it, but how did you get started with quilting?
I I started crocheting first. Would you believe? When I was growing up, everybody had these dollies. You know, I don't know if you remember those starch dollies your mama had on the table, you know, on the table, the kitchen table, and on the sides. Well, there was a lady. Her name's Miss Alice, and I'm talking about you all in the 50s. I used to have to help her starch those dollies, and that's how I started with needlework. Well, all of my family, my mother, aunts were seamstress. They worked at we had a lot of manufacturers. We had Rex, we had Bunks, we had Haskell's. We had a lot of factories here, and so I learned how. Really, I learned how to hem before I learned how to do anything. I really don't sew that well, but y'all, I can hem. I used to do. My mother also did the costumes for the Soulful Warriors back in the 70s, 80s. Well, anyway, and then I started sewing. And when I got married, I got married young, and we had lots of money right now. So for one Christmas, I'd go to Crest. I don't know if you remember, Crest was on Canal Street. And they had this package of quilted apron and pot holders. Well, I bought that, and I made the quilted pot holders and aprons, and I really enjoyed it. So I went back. It was cheap enough that I could really get it. Everybody in my family got pot holders and aprons for that Christmas. As a matter of fact, my mother saved the one she had. I have the original. And that's how, and then from there, I said, if I can make pot holders and I can make aprons, then I can make quilts. Well, then, remember you all, we're going back in the 60s. And there wasn't very much information. There are a few people that came on TV, on WYES, public broadcast. Okay, I watched those shows, and then I got into, my daughter had to do some work for school, and we had to go to the Tulane Library. Well, at the Tulane Library, while she was doing her work, I sat on the floor. There's a lot of old books, and I started looking through these old books, and most of them were agriculture books, architecture books, but they were talking about enslaved people and what they were doing. So that really perked me. Then one of the TV quilters made a statement that African Americans could not put squares on print. She said she didn't say did not, she didn't say would not, she said did not, could not. So then I started really going to research on quilting, and then I started, debunking what you said, a lot of the quilting ideas, because really to quilt, all you need is needle, thread, scissors, and some material. Now we have these rotary cutters that people try to shame you that if you don't have the best toys, you're not, a quilter. But that's really all you need to quilt. So anyway, I still try to teach people that you don't have to have all these tools to really enjoy quilting. Okay, and that's how I really started quilting. Now, I mean, I don't want to get into controversy, but on the Underground Railroad, they'll say it doesn't exist. That's just somebody's story. Nobody told you. But nobody talks about Louisiana. In Louisiana, all up the river, they communicated with cloth. If you had pecans to sell, you put one color up. If you needed to dye, you put another color up. If you had to sell moss, you need ice. We communicated all up the river with cloth. So anyway, so I did a little personal book with just my quilt saying why I believe. But don't get me started on quilting. I can go on.
All right. Thank you. Well, that was new information about the river. I've not heard of that, but I have heard that with quilts, as it is, and with African American quilters, is that they did not want them to change the style of quilting they want to do, the style of quilting. They want them to kind of remain in that stationary place. It's just like an artist who has a particular style and they want to change, but nobody wants them to change. They want you to stay creating the same thing that everybody likes. They don't want them to transition to the next. So they really wanted quilters to stay creating the same type of quilt, even though there were other things that they wanted to do. And there were some great geometric designs that are happening now because some quilters have gone beyond.
When you talk about the G-bends, everybody talk about G-bends quilts. I've met the ladies. I've had a workshop with the ladies. I love the ladies. But they want us to all remain in a pattern. I love patchwork. It's my favorite. Mm-hmm. And right now, I am actually quilting with grocery bags. I fuse grocery bags and use them like cloth.
Oh, I've seen yours. That's correct. Yes.
Right. Yeah. And it's like if you stay here, there was a long time when I talk about say could not. A lot of the arts quilts now that are coming out, they want us to stick to the pattern, stick to the directions. Mm-hmm. If you know anything about me, you all know I cannot stay. I've been quilting for over 50 years and I still can't saw a straight line. Okay. And it doesn't matter because there's not a person in the world who's giving me a quilt back because my parents didn't meet.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice.
I think quilting is important because it has something that I don't have, and that is a different kind of communication with the community that we're in. Quilters get together, like they might neighborhood get together and make a quilt for somebody to honor something that he's done. You know, they have quilting societies and stuff where they don't just get together and do their own work. They're getting together to do something that honors somebody or something historically significant.
Yeah, my quilt group makes quilts, and every December we give quilts to foster care.
Oh,
and right, and we write our local foster care, and they give them out to kids. The most 2 years ago we made I think 134. The COVID years have been kind of hard on us. I think we only gave 30 some, but everybody in my quilt group, we made quilts and give them to the New Orleans foster care system. And that's another thing. In order to be a member, you have to make quilts for foster care. And we kind of push each other to see how many we can get. So yeah, but see, in that, we're talking, we're having fun. We solved all the problems in the world in a quilt group. Okay, besides doing something for somebody else other than ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, coming together like that is really important. I actually do that, but with the tennis team, and the tennis group I'm with. It's an opportunity for people to gather together, and the ages is from 35 to 95. We actually have he's 90, he's 90, 83, 85 years old. So player, but it's just the opportunity to get together and communicate with each other at any age is absolutely wonderful, and to have
we're talking about within a group. I find that we transform or get to know, appreciate everybody's talent, and try to. I do. Is it appropriate? I try to use some of everybody's talent. If I see something that, let me try this, in my quilting, and I find it a lot of fun trying to. Like I said, I'm not. I don't bead as well as, and to Theresa, how well and how hard it is to bead. I don't bead as well, but I'm going to try. Mm-hmm. I don't paint as well. Some of my things, the one behind me, I also had paint on that. I'm going to try to use watercolors. I'm going to try to use paints. I'm going to try to use beads. I'm going to try to use clay. I'm going to try to use everything. And so I'm really appropriating, and we're talking, I know I'm getting a little personal, but within that group, it allows me to do that.
Right.
You know, I can, you know, I can say, Louise said, why don't you do such a, oh, that's a great idea. And it's another thing about the group being able to exchange ideas within the group.
Right, right. As John Scott used to say, you can't take it with you. So pass the information on.
Right.
Miss Jolly, what was your who inspired you? Or who was your
Um,
I'm going to
inter-
ask each of you that same question so y'all can think about it.
yeah, right. I don't know that there was any particular one person because my intent was really photographing my children. It didn't enter from the art world. But then in the 70s, I took some photography classes, and that did a lot for opening my vision to creativity. But also, as I said earlier, that little class, excuse me, that I took really opened portals for me.
Okay. Miss Cely? You're on mute. Who inspired?
Oh, okay, I'm unmuted.
Huh?
I'm unmuted now, I believe.
Okay. Who inspired? Who inspires you or is you inspired by?
Oh, a whole lot of people. And some of you probably never heard of this. Maud Wilhelm, Fate Ringo, Carolyn Maslumi, um, David Driscoll. I have a great story about Dr. Driscoll. David Driscoll. And let me tell you, locally, some of the people who have edged me on and made me do is Sarah Hollis. Yes, Stella Jones. They have been very instrumental in making me believe in myself, you know, and pushing me to do better work. Okay, I see Louise. Louise is a wonderful person. I wish I had some of her talent, you know. I mean, right within we have to go back to, you know, to the right here in this group. Okay, Sharice Harrison Nelson with, you know, it's been giving me beads like if to make me, you know, I've done, you know, some to kind of make me do some, you know, so all those people kind of influence what I do. Yeah, I don't know if you remember Charles Sims. Okay,
Yes.
right. Okay, Charles Sims we all know Charles, if you know Charles Sims, and he was always say, document. Make sure you have documentation. So I make sure that every one of my quilts is, you know, I have documentation on the back. So there's people within, you know, within this community that I'm trying to there's so many people really.
Well, you're right. Especially when it comes to quilting, there are so many good quilters and storytellers. And you mentioned Dr. Stella Jones, how she helped to encourage you. And I should also note that Dr. Jones is one of the longest. I think she's the only African American gallery, and she's been around more than 20 years, representing, giving Black artists, an opportunity to exhibit in her gallery. And I think she has really pushed fine arts out there in New Orleans among ourselves and at a greater level, because I think she's pretty well known in the United States and probably beyond, because we have talked about other places such as Alaska, doing work in Alaska, or is that Australia? I think that was Australia.
Yeah.
But
and you know something? Well, we talking Carol B. Bell has been a big inspiration too.
Well, Carol B. Bell and Doug Red developed you know, seeing their dream come true and then going beyond what they have probably even thought of initially themselves.
Right.
Opening up the doors of opportunity for our community.
I don't know if y'all remember Jackie Mooney, but Jackie Mooney did classes for a while at Ashe, and which was also, you know, a friend of mine. And so the Ashe Center has been really open open-hearted to having workshops and having, it as just as people as quilters also. So we have to give our props to Ashe.
Okay. Oh, definitely. Definitely. Theresa, what inspires you? Who inspired you?
One of the first things that I saw that inspired me to paint, I was in the Tremaine neighborhood years back. Winnie Mandela was speaking at the Tremaine Cultural Center, and I saw Trombone Shorty leading a second line, and he must have been about maybe 6 or 7 years old. And as most folks know, the trombone was bigger than him. He had a club. They had a club named after him. And so I just thought it was the cutest thing to see this kid, leading this procession. And so I went home. My mom was working on her house, renovating her home. And I found a piece of plywood and some house paints, and I painted a picture, and I sold it that year. That was also my first year that I vended at the Jazz and Heritage Festival, and I sold that painting to a collector in New York, and I regret it to this day because it was one of my favorite pieces. But have you
seen it?
Yesterday, and he was like, "Are you still painting?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I really need a piece of art." I'm like, "I got you," but everybody took a liking to that little. It was like folk art almost, because that occurred prior to me having like former training in art, and I really like that style, and I still think my style has a strong folk art feel. But New Orleans is my greatest inspiration, and I feel that we as artists are so blessed. As Pat said earlier, there's so much going on here at every moment. So you can walk out and you have art to create, to look at, and to be proud of. I feel we were so blessed to have all this culture here in New Orleans.
Yes, I agree. Well, ladies, I think we can. It was a very good time talking to you all and getting to know a little bit more about your experience and your reasons with the A Gift of Love exhibition, the reasons why you participated, why you thought your pieces would work in this exhibition to express the love that it does, and we appreciate that. NCA has been in existence for New Orleans branch has been in existence for 26 years, but NCA itself has been around for at least 63 years. So it's been around a long time, and we are a big part of it continuing. And I hope that we always continue to do that. And so thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. I also wanted to thank you, Miss Sheleen. You did an excellent job moderating, and thank you to all of the ladies who participated, including Damien. I know he had some technical difficulties, but what I will say now that everybody is joined, Happy Women's Month! Yay! I mean, y'all showed up, and this month is really much like every day. I don't want to ever subjugate us to only a day or a month or what have you, but hearing all of your stories about what inspires you to create your artwork, how did you get started, and also the unity and the blessing that is the New Orleans chapter National Conference of Artists, because it's mainly, I consider y'all my elders, right? So for
we'll call you back.
Youth, I want them to be able to know that this is possible because they see you and they know it's possible, and then take it to the next level. So I just thank y'all so much for sharing space with us today. And if y'all don't mind, I would like to close out while everybody's still up. Mr. Charlie Johnson gave me this book, which everybody read from, which was A Gift of Love. And I encourage everyone, if you have a chance to, thumb through it, read it at your leisure. But you can hear back when hopefully people get to play back this video, the quotes that led to inspiring you to create the works, right? And so this was on page 182. And Miss Cely, you actually tapped on it just a little bit about the pulling of the skills and the gifts from each and every individual and seeing how you could weave it into and create your own with your work, right? But this is, he says, now the other thing about the length of life, after accepting ourselves and our tools, we must discover what we are called to do. And once we discover it, we should set out to do it with all of our strength, all of our power that we have in our systems. And after we've discovered what God called us to do, after we've discovered our life's work, we should set out to do that work so well that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't do it any better. Now, this does not mean that everybody will do the so-called big, recognized things of life. Very few people will rise collectively, will rise to certain professions, and most of us will have to be content to work in the fields and in the factories and on the streets. But we must see the dignity of all labor. And he goes on to basically saying, you know, if you were called to be a street sweeper, be the best street sweeper that there is out there. Do the streets like Michelangelo. So I just wanted to share that gem from Dr. King to continue to encourage everyone, you know, youth especially, which is something that I always will talk about, to do what it is that they're called to do. And even if you don't know what it is, just do it and you get support along the way. So thank you, ladies. Thank you. And be sure, everyone, to check them out. Hopefully, there will be in the flesh live April 1st for the closing of the exhibition. And for those of you who still want to take a look at it, it's still up at the Powerhouse. I dropped the link, and other people have dropped the link in the chats, so you could go and schedule your tour. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Have
you,
a wonderful
everyone.
rest of your afternoon.
Yes.
Okay,
Till
okay.
next time. Bye.
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 That went well.